Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me?
Welcome, everybody, to the FPV News. It's good to be here with you, and it's good to be here with you. Blunty, how you doing tonight?
Good, Joshua. How's it going?
I'm very well. You can't see. Maybe you can kind of see on the ground behind me. I'm getting ready to go to Rampage. All my shit is just... I've been going through all my quads, trying to get as many of them as possible working. That's why I go to Rampage every year. All through the year, slowly broken quads pile up, and then for Rampage, I fix them all. That's my deadline. So I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah. Nice.
We have some big news today
Sure.
about
We
the
do.
about the Fatshark goggle. Did you hear about that? You heard about
It's
that. You were-
Yeah, it's relatively. It depends on how you look at it. We have big news.
right.
There is
More-
big news.
There is big news. Yes.
Yeah.
It relates to Rampage. In
Yes.
fact,
That's true.
we will talk about that. We're going to talk about it some. Yeah, a little bit later in this segment, and we're not going to make you wait either. We're going to do it. We're going to do it as the first bit. But before we do that, I just want to take a second and thank all of you for being here. Hello, YouTube chat. I am reading your content. I'm reading your comments. And also Discord, I am with you. We don't do as much chat interaction during the news, but I want to just thank you guys for being here. And with that said, I guess we should just dive right into it, right? Should we? You guys want to just bullshit a little bit first? Talk about the weather? No.
We got a decently packed news show, so
we do. It's decently packed. So let's talk about the Fatsharks. Should we call it? What should we call it? What did they call it?
They call it the Dominator.
The new
Fatshark
digital
Dominator.
system. We'll start here.
Fatshark Dominator headset and system.
Okay, so we're going to start here with this news release. Red Cat Holdings subsidiary Fatshark to launch innovative Dominator drone FPV goggle. And we've also got a photo and a release page. Well, where's their release page? Is it they just make it their main page? Yeah. They got a release page and a photo. Where'd the photo come from, Blunty?
Photos in the article that you just were on. The Red Cat?
Yeah. Oh, is it in there?
Yep, at the bottom.
Oh, there it is. There's the photo. The Dominator. So, hang on. I'm being told that oh no. I'm being told that I made the title PV News. I gotta fix that real quick. Hold on. FPV News. There we go. Fixed. Here's where I think we should start, Blunty. We should start with our coverage of a previous Fatshark investor call, where Red Cat said that Fatshark was working on an HD system. And we said HDZero and Fatshark are no more, so this must just be investor BS. We said, and tell me if you think I'm mischaracterizing this, we know better. Fatshark can't be working on a new digital system because that was HDZero, and we know that fell apart. And there's at least the possibility that we are wrong here, because now Fatshark is saying, hey, we've got this new digital thing and system. And if that's true, then I think we're going to have to eat a little crow. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that we said that. Did we say that?
I feel like we said, I might have said that. Maybe you didn't.
Okay.
All right. We'll have to see.
I don't know. I don't know. This is hard to talk about, so.
It is hard to talk about. Okay, so the reason it's hard to talk about is that I was given the option to learn true facts about this system in anticipation of making a video. But no one really likes me. They just say, hey, do you want to make a video about our product so that we can sell more of our product? And obviously I said, yes, I want to know things. And they said, okay, but you can't, like, I can't be seen as leaking that information. And unfortunately, talking about even public information could be inferred as releasing information about the system, because it could be seen as like well, I mean, there's no way to prevent that. People are going to read into whatever I say. They're saying, oh, we showed the goggles. He showed the goggles. He said digital system. I've said nothing that isn't in the press release, so I'm being very careful here. Yeah. But before I was let in on some of the things about this system, and by the way, you're not going to have to wait long. The countdown date is like Friday morning. They're releasing it at Rampage. It's going to be at Rampage. They're going to demonstrate it at Rampage, according to this news release. So you're not going to have to wait long, like 2 or 3 days at most. There might have been a lot of speculation we would have done, and frankly, we could have gotten some of it wrong. We could have gotten some of it right. So we're missing the opportunity to be happy that we guessed right. But on the other hand, I know things, and I can't. And that's why the title of this stream is We Can't Talk About It. But here's what I want to do, Blunty, because people come for the news, and we want to at least tell them the public things that have been said, and we'll just try and catalog that, if you will. So we've got this press release. What in this press release seems interesting or relevant? And we're just picking from the press release, so we can't be leaking any information. You want to do that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing we pointed out before is the question is, what do they mean by digital goggle?
Correct.
Right? I think like that's the core question here. Is they say digital goggle, but that doesn't mean digital system. However, if you read Dominator headsets and systems, that means there's more than a headset present that they will be selling. So we don't know what that means. Like, is that some other thing you could attach to another goggle that can use the headset system? What is there some kind of like, it could be analog quadversity, you know what I mean? We really don't know from what they're saying there, like what it is, right?
Right. So they've got a 1080p digital goggle, and they've got Dominator headsets and systems. And when I see 1080p digital goggle, to me, you know, the least that means is that it has 1080p screens. but a 1080p screen, I mean, 1280 by 960 or whatever the current Orcas and HDOs are. The most that it could mean is that it's a wireless 1080 FPV video link. We don't know. And then there's a Dominator headset and system, which suggests that it's more than just a goggle. So, what I want to do is, first of all, we got a comment from Carl from HDZero that's going around the internet, and this is just going around the internet. So I feel like we should cover it.
Yes.
Someone asked, and this is not us. This is a conversation someone else had that they shared.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And basically somebody asked Carl, is it HDZero? And he said, no, it's not. He said Fatshark dumped HDZero, so it will not be HDZero. So anybody that's wondering about that, Carl basically confirmed it's not that. And then Carl thinks it's DJI. So that's where I'm sure a lot of the DJI rumors have been going around that people have been talking about. But yeah, so Carl says it's not DJI. And then Carl goes on to say that Teal is filled with DJI parts. Obviously, we don't know if that's true or not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we don't know if that's for sure. But yeah, he definitely says that. So yeah, that's kind of interesting to know if that's the case. But
so this, and I think this is real interesting because you and I had a conversation before I was sort of let in on some information about this. And in that conversation, we speculated on whether this was HDZero. We speculated on whether it was just an analog quadversity goggle and they were sort of playing fast and loose with the term digital. And we speculated on whether somehow DJI had partnered with them in the same way that they partnered with Cadex. And Carl seems to be leaning towards the third one. And if you think about why DJI, do you remember why DJI partnered with Cadex?
Well,
because that was a weird move.
I don't know if we really know, but the assumption is that they needed somebody to sell the Vista that wasn't FCC certified.
Mm-hmm. That's what, and the Vista is in fact not FCC certified. And the theory is that they partnered with Cadex so that they could fly under the radar, because the FCC is going to notice a new product from DJI, but they might not notice a new product from who the hell is Cadex. And if what Carl is saying, Carl is providing at least a plausible reason why there might be DJI products in a non-DJI product. Anyway, that's Carl's argument. We don't know. We don't know. Well, I know, but I'm not going to say. We don't know, and we won't know until Friday. So we will just have to see. But what I recommend you do is you go check out this video from Mads. Not right now. Don't click away from my live stream. Because it's bad for our analytics. It's terrible. After the live stream's over, down in the show notes, there's a video from Madstech. And I watched this video and thought that he did a great job. It's about 10-minute, 11-minute video of covering all the ins and outs of what this might be. And if I were to sit down and speculate, then I would speculate along all of these lines. And again, I'm certainly not going to say whether he gets it right or whether he gets it wrong. But for those who are saying, I want to know what Bardwell might think about this, but Bardwell can't talk, I would steer you towards Ian's video. And then you see what you think. Make up your mind, and you'll find out on Friday.
Yeah.
So there you go. Brian Mayland, we're going to get 2 weeks worth of news out of it, because then when it actually comes out. But honestly, I mean, what you would have gotten would be, obviously, we're going to cover it this week, right? Obviously, this is too big a deal not to cover. So you were going to get 2 weeks worth of news out of this anyway. By the way, for those who are wondering, I am going to Rampage. I will be back by Tuesday, so there will be news next week. We're not going to be missing any news. I know that you guys are wondering that.
Yes.
Anyway, I am looking forward. Blunty, I kind of wish that we had the time to gather up a bunch of internet comments from people who are saying, there's no way it'll be blah, or it's definitely X, and then collect them all up and do a little rundown of who got it right and who got it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to take the time to do that, but I think it would be really funny.
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to see.
We'll just have to see. All right. We got a super chat from Zipperlips FPV. Thanks for a $10 super chat. Will the new Fatshark goggle replace your current goggle? That's not a question that I'm going to answer, right? Obviously.
That is revealing information.
That would reveal, if I said yes or no or anything other than no comment, then that would be over the line. But thank you for your super chat. For what it's worth, my current goggle is either the Orca for analog. I have HDZero on my HDO2, and I have the DJI. So right now, I don't have a quote-unquote current goggle. If a new goggle comes along, chances are very good that it will join the fold, but remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Can we have some news that you can actually talk about? Okay, you got it. Next
All
up.
right. So next up, we got a interview from Madstech. He did with Carl about HDZero, and it's really a freaking good interview. If you have not seen it, you should watch it. It's excellent. It's like an hour and 15 minutes almost, and he goes through basically everything you would be interested in currently with the system, some previous information, some future information. Why some things happen, he talks about open source and margins, and just some great information. We showed a little preview that Madstech had posted before, but this is got a ton of information if you're interested. So definitely something to check out. We also have a write-up. I did a write-up on a new website I started called the FPVnews.com. I don't know how much will end up there, but currently we've got a couple things up there. One of them is a write-up about this a little bit, and it just goes over some of the things that they talk about. If you scroll down a little bit there, if we look at, I've got a list of what he's developed, and I think it's pretty interesting because basically Carl has developed the ASIC, which is the 5680, the baseband ASIC that we've talked about before, that basically made HDZero possible. He's got the DM 6300 and 6302. So those were previously ADI analog devices. Those were ADI chips. And he basically paid 4 people in Silicon Valley for 4 years, 3.5 years, to develop solutions to solve the ADI problem, which is having to buy expensive ADI chips. So he's got that solution down, and then he actually just those developments, those 3 things, were $10 million in development.
Yikes!
And then his team also helped develop a partner company develop an FPGA that would work for the VRX. So the FPGA, Madstech has talked about this before, went from like $20 to $200+ because of the pandemic.
Wow!
And so they needed a solution, and luckily he had a friend who had developed an FPGA. So they worked with Diffamath to develop it correctly for the goggles, and like he needed it, and they were able to build it out for the goggles. So that's one of the reasons they're able to do the things they're doing. Basically, if they had to buy the ADI, if they had to buy the FPGA, like all these things would basically have not made the product possible. And Carl has been ahead of the game trying to develop these chips so that they can continue to produce them without going bankrupt. The VTX can't be $150, so they're doing the best they can to get that price down.
It's crazy. He is such I don't know what the word for it. He is such a hustler.
Yes.
But a hustler implies effort, but he's also just doing so much development and so much, these roadblocks and obstacles keep coming up, and he keeps finding ways to solve them. He believes in this system so hard.
Something he talks about now is, he has these 4 developers in Silicon Valley, 4 employees, and, he has kind of backed off from even doing the combination of the parts. So he's talking about how, his future ASIC will combine the RF modulator and demodulator into one chip so that you don't have to have the other pieces. And it'll start to pack more into the chip. So it's not, you don't need to have other pieces like the MIPI translator chip. That's a separate chip right now, and it won't be in the future. It'll be part of the ASIC.
So we're going to end up with one gigantic, the chips are already pretty big. Are we just going to end up with one humongous ASIC?
It seems like it'll be more efficient and smaller because they can combine them all together and get all the functions in one piece.
Oh, interesting. Because they've got 3 or so big chips right now. But if they get those combined into one, then we could get smaller VTXs, less heat buildup, etc. That's really exciting.
Yeah. But what Carl says is that's boring to him. He's bored combining chips. So he's letting other people combine the chips, and he's doing all the work to develop higher frame rates, higher resolutions, pushing the latency down. He's developing the goggle side to get the glass to glass down. He talks about in this, right now they've got 4 to 6 millisecond fixed glass to glass with the goggles. And that's with a 90 frames per second camera that they've developed, and they're going to have a 90 frames per second support with the goggle.
Nice.
So essentially, and he's doing that because he talked to Evan, and they really think that frames per second is the big important part for racers. If they can get more latency shaved out of the equation, and that frames per second may be a big deal. So yeah, he's able to get to 90, and they're promising at least 1080-60 for the new chip when they do the new chip. That won't be in the goggle, but that'll be in the new chip. So.
Wow.
Yeah. He's also promising backwards compatibility with basically everything except, like, the new VTXs won't talk to your old VRX, but the old VTXs will talk to the new VRX. So
right. So forwards compatibility with the
compatibility kind of.
Yeah. So 661 FPV wants to know, do we know if the new Fatshark Dominator is HDZero yet? What we can say is that Carl said that it wasn't. We have a public statement from Carl going around saying that it's not. Now, I don't know. If anyone would know that, he would know that, right? Because if it was HDZero, he would have sold him the chips. So the fact that Carl said it wasn't HDZero is pretty much confirmation that it's not HDZero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some other interesting things real quick. They've moved the prototype, so it's June to July for the goggle prototype. And then the first PVT that they'll sell is September to October.
When did Fatshark say when their goggle was supposed to be available?
It will ship in June, is what they said. So I'm thinking they're going to take pre-orders on Friday.
That's shots across the bow, right? Clearly.
Yeah, I think they're going to take pre-orders on Friday. They said pre-orders before the sale, and then sale in June, or pre-orders before the shipping, and shipping in June. So.
Crazy Car Channel, no price for the Fatshark system has been announced. No price has been has Carl announced price? Desired price for his goggles?
The desired price is to somehow have the HDZero system inside of the goggle and still hit around the same price as like a Skyo 4X or HDO2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sebi D wants to know, did we check to verify that really was a comment from Carl?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you verify that? Yeah.
Yes.
Are you sure? How do you know?
Yeah, because Ryan Quillette said it to him.
Ryan Quillette verified it. Okay, great. Oh my God, that's actually like actual journalism instead of us just.
Well, I didn't ask Ryan Quillette, but Ryan Quillette posted on the HDZero Discord about it. But yes, I made sure.
Cygnus, thank you for a $10 super chat. Should I keep waiting? I was about to buy the HDO2 last week, but I had a hunch something new was around the corner. I'm going to answer this question because I feel like I can honestly answer this question. My answer to that question would be the same no matter what, whether I knew anything or not. There's a new product that you might be interested in. You don't know, but you're going to find out about it in 4 days.
Yeah.
Obviously, you should wait 4 days to just see. It's not going to kill you. It's not like you won't be able to buy an HDO2 goggle on Friday if you decide this new system, whatever it is, doesn't seem right, like it's right for you. Obviously you should wait.
I think you should wait, no matter what. I think you should wait until the HDZero prototype comes out. I think because HDZero prototype has the ability, possibly, to be the similar or same price as an HDO2 or Skyo 4X with more features and an integrated receiver. I think
that's April, May, June. That's more than 4 days.
Sure, 100%. But if you're going to spend, we're in May, so if you're going to spend, he says June to July for the first prototypes to see the goggle. To me, if you're going to spend $500 to $600 on a goggle,
I hear you. You're not wrong. To me, if it's 4 days, it's like you should just wait. Why would you 100%. Not wait 4 days? Yeah. If it's 2 months. And it's 2 months, June to July, for the prototype.
Yeah.
But maybe that'll get pushed back because the world is crazy right now. And it's June to July. And then when will you be able to buy one? So maybe it'll be 4 months or 6 months, or I could see not waiting for the Orca goggle.
But then we also have a DJI V3 that's supposed to be coming.
Maybe.
I don't know. To me, this
know.
is. Yeah. To me, this is not a. I've heard enough about it. To me, this is not a time to buy a new goggle. This is the time to wait, even without the 4-day thing.
Valid. Valid.
Yeah.
Bad for Life says, I would be surprised if the HDZero system comes out this year. Mo in the Discord says, we already know the specs of the HDZero goggles. What more do you need to know?
Carl is 100% sure that the goggles will come out this year. He just doesn't, he said that in Madstech's thing. So no matter what, they'll come out this year.
Okay. Well, it's shaping up to be a very interesting year for FPV, which if you go back 3 months. There's DJI, there's analog. Analog goggles have pretty much peaked. There's just not very many more interesting things you can do with analog goggles. Orca has pretty much done them. I mean, obviously there's always room for small improvements, but analog has pretty much peaked. And then DJI, and then HDZero. But HDZero haven't, maybe making a goggle, trying to get their VTXs up, and then all of a sudden there's leaks and rumors and suspicions about maybe a V3 DJI goggle, and now Fatshark says they're coming out with something. It's a very, very interesting time. No doubt.
If I was buying a goggle, I would wait. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
All right.
People in the comments are wondering whether the Fatshark system is open HD. That would be interesting.
That doesn't make much sense, but yes, I see. I guess where you could come with that.
Yeah, it's interesting. What they're actually saying is, please don't let it be open HD. Okay, so I mischaracterized it a little.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
All right. Yeah, Gyroflow is finally out. Gyroflow has been in release candidate for a while, the 1.0 release. There are a lot of tons of great changes and stuff, and now 1.01, which is actually the first release. 1.0 was still an RC. So 1.01 is the first release that adds a couple things like a render queue and some different codecs for export, new support.
GoPro SuperView support?
Yeah, and a bunch of other, cool stuff. They added a bunch of lens profiles that were uploaded by users into a database.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff. So, and they also did some bug fixes and finally got it out of release candidate. So now it's ready for everybody to use without any worry. Cool.
And basically, for those who maybe don't know, Gyroflow is excellent image stabilization, free, open source, and works with any video file as long as you have gyro data. The gyro data could be captured by the camera, as in the case of a RunCam 5 or a GoPro, or it could be captured by your black box log in your flight controller. It doesn't really matter, and it's really good image stabilization. So, if you're the kind of person who wants image stabilization and you don't have it, or if you want to stabilize a camera that doesn't have good built-in stabilization, then Gyroflow is well worth a look. It's free, so.
Yeah.
661 FPV wondering if there's a power button. If there's a power button for the new Fatshark goggles.
I can talk about this because I don't know the answer. It looks like on the left side of the goggle there is a button, and I would assume that's the power button, but I don't know.
Yeah, we've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Well, DJI goggles don't have a power button. Nobody ever gave DJI a hard time for that, like we gave Fatshark. I'll bet Greg was really a little bit chapped. Like for years and years, people are like, Fatshark, give us your power button. What's wrong with you? DJI comes out and everybody's like, oh, DJI's so good.
I think Fatshark would have been okay if they had delivered the best HD system anyone had ever used. Like, I don't think people would have complained as much about the power button. So.
Well, we'll never know. Okay. All right. Next up, we got Brian White, Mr. PID Tuning, Mr. Basement PID Tune guy.
Yeah. PID Toolbox.
PID Toolbox guy. There you go. That's what it is.
Yeah.
What's he got?
Yeah. So Brian White has some data that you might be interested in. Basically, he was doing some testing and realized that he was getting a lot better noise on his quad, his gyro noise, when he was running a higher PWM. And this is something I've heard on and off a little bit without very clear testing to show. And he did some clear testing to show that on some setups, now he did this on a 7-inch with a different setup, and it was not as clear. It was almost the same. But on some setups, he's finding that just changing PWM from 24 to 48 is, you can see how significant of an effect that has.
That's a huge effect. And it's extremely significant because it is this lower frequency noise down around, say, 100 to 200 hertz. Maybe between 50 and 200 hertz is the noise that is most problematic for the PID loop and most difficult to filter out. So finding ways to get rid of that noise before the gyro sees it is massively significant and has a big effect on your ability to PID tune the quad. That's fascinating.
Yeah, pretty cool. There's also some good discussion. We linked the Facebook post down in the description, along with everything else. If you need to find anything, there's a description where you can find out all that great information. But yeah, there's a good post in the FPV Center Lifters group.
I can't see the post because I'm not in this group. Maybe I should join this group. There we go.
But yeah,
no,
so
okay.
Ryan Harold talks a little bit, and a couple other folks. So yeah, some good comments about that. Definitely something I have heard of, but again, like I just did not know it would be so profound.
Okay, well, let's see if they let me in. I always,
right.
whenever a group has questions before they'll let you in, I assume they're going to recognize my name, and I answer the questions in a really belligerent way. So let's see how that goes.
Okay.
All right. So worth a try. If you've got a quad with really bad gyro noise, especially a larger quad, you may benefit from going to a higher PWM frequency in maybe a non-obvious way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Next up.
The drone swarm. We've got a drone swarm that navigates through a forest autonomously. We've talked a little bit before about drones navigating through a forest autonomously. But it was one big drone, and it was going pretty fast, but it wasn't crazy. This is pretty cool. Another group at, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, Zhejiang University, something like that, in China, have developed a new method that reduces the size and hardware requirements. So they don't have to be a big old drone. They can be these small little drones you can put in a swarm.
Flippin' heck.
They're 300-gram drones.
What are they? They're all staying in a grid. Oh, no, now they're all messed up.
They're 300-gram drones that all basically communicate to each other to help navigate through everything. They map out. You can see the map at the bottom there that they're drawing of their flight path and what is obstructed.
But they're all sharing the information, so it's like, like a fly with, 27 eyes or whatever.
Yeah, they're all processing on board as well to know where to go, so...
So there's no external processing. There's no central computer.
Right.
And then this will be used for killing all humans, I assume, in the dystopian Skynet future.
Yes. This looks like the closest thing we've seen to swarm of drones will come after you.
What is it really used? I mean, other than just being a project. I mean, it's used for mapping.
I think
search and rescue.
I think the goal will be similar things like that. I'm sure for search and rescue, this would be amazing. Instead of sending a bunch of people out in the woods to go look for people, you can just send a swarm of drones.
Do we know the flight time of these drones? I mean, I guess you could just build a bigger one. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, currently 11 minutes with their setups. So
that's really cool. Navigating complex environments like that is one of the big challenges in autonomous flight. Autonomously flying through the sky to a waypoint is trivial. Flying through like a city is more plausible, but is more difficult, but still plausible. And flying through something like, the woods is just really, really challenging.
Yeah. So yeah, we've also got a link to the paper. That's the other link we have in there, and they've got some more videos and more information about how the algorithms work and how what they're choosing to do for their decisions and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in all that crazy stuff, they got tracking. They even got like breakdowns of, if you flip over to that and then scroll down real quick, it's pretty cool. They've got a whole layout that shows the memory mapping and CPU mapping for all the work that happens on the drone. It's kind of neat.
Is this what you're looking for? Here's the paper.
Yeah, if you scroll down just a little bit, keep on going.
Okay. So
one more.
We've got the proposed aerial swarm.
I think this is the cool thing that they're doing here. So basically, it shows a map of like how they're using all the memory on the drones, where the CPUs are allocated, and then what the kind of the map of the internals of the drone works out to. So pretty cool.
I mean, they're using it in indoor environments as well, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's badass. I mean, that's badass. Because you could go in and fly through an environment and then come out with a 3D map of the environment. That's pretty badass. I'm sure there's a lot of people who could think of some really useful uses for that.
Yeah, pretty neat stuff.
Matt Snellbacher says, add a stun gun to that and criminals will never escape again.
Yeah. So in that vein as well, our next story is we've got another story about AI drone racing. So we previously talked about AI drone racing, and we looked at basically a system that could go through gates as fast or faster than human pilots that they had in the study, and they were pretty fast pilots, so they were able to map out ahead of time. But in those studies, it was taking about 2 to 3 hours to do the calculations to get around those gates and do it in a pretty good amount of time. So they were like, well, that can't be the solution. So they slapped a Jetson Nano on these drones, and they are doing the work on the drone.
What is a Jetson Nano?
It's like an NVIDIA, basically like in a little NVIDIA SoC system.
I see.
Yeah, or Jetson TX2, sorry, not a Nano, but yeah, it's basically like a little board they can use for all the work that they're doing.
I see.
And basically, now it can do it live, so they can move the gates around, and it can navigate through the gates even if they're moving them.
I see those little reflective balls on there, which makes me think that a computer is off the drone, flying the drone.
So they're using
with like
outside
external cameras.
Well, they're using outside sensors currently. They're trying to get everything onto the drone. That's like the next step that will happen. But currently, they're using outside sensors to tell the drone positional data about the drone. But all the work is happening on the drone for the algorithms and like crunching of everything. So
okay, it adapts to changes on the fly, flies optimal trajectories through dynamic environments like moving waypoints. That's kind of badass. I wonder to what degree real pilots could benefit from this calculation to learn optimal flight lines. I mean, it's hard to imagine somebody having a more optimal flight line than like Min-Chan Kim, but I don't know. That's pretty badass. Guy needs a helmet. I think he's got a hard hat on. That's a little scary. I'll be like, he's not going to hit me though, right? Yeah, that's
pretty cool stuff. So they're making solid progress. This is the same team who's been working through all these kind of different quad tests that we've shown. Quite a bit over the year or two that we've been doing this, and yeah, it's very, very cool stuff. So
that's really cool. Just seeing it, I could just sit here and watch this computer fly this drone.
Do you think people will have like stuff like this as a kind of like how you have little like toys or whatever on your table? You have a drone that kind of just like flies around a track and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you could imagine they've got like those little, those little cars that they sell for kids in science classes where you draw a line on a white piece of paper and the car follows the line, and they've got like races and stuff, and people design those. It's like a Pinewood Derby. Kids will build little robotics experiments to do that. This is just an extension of that in a way. We're a long way. And I don't know what the cost would be from having gates you could set up in your house and the computer flies through the gates. But, I mean, that's an extension of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine extending this and the drones flying through a forest. And you could say, look, we're going to have a flying drone that patrols our office park. So those FPV pilots, they don't come show up and vandalize it. And you set waypoints. And you literally just move a physical gate or something that the drone flies near or through, and it finds them. It self-navigates through the environment, and that's a really interesting sort of combination.
Yeah. Did you see that? Chat wants us to point out one thing it can do that a human can't really do or can't do easily is the end of this, where basically they turn the wind up while it's flying to 68 kilometers an hour, and it's hard to tell.
Oh, it's hitting. Right now it's hitting a wind gust. There's no wind.
Hold on, right? And now it's about to kick up the wind. You'll see by the smoke.
Oh yeah, and it's just like DGAF.
It was hitting the gates.
Wow, Evan Turner, do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure he could. That's really cool. That's really cool. I mean, we need
Yeah.
to get like an Evan Turner or an Alex Vanover or a Min Chan Kim or any of those other fast guys. I feel bad because whenever I try to think of a fast racer, those three names come out just because I know those guys. Well, I don't know Min Chan, but I've met him, and I feel like I'm disrespecting other. I need to, you know,
Guy
get to know
FPV,
some
Chief
of them.
FPV. Hold
There
on,
you go.
let's
Keep going. Keep
restart.
going. Keep going.
Hold on, I'm gonna miss a lot of names.
He never talks about me.
Yeah.
Is Bardwell thinking about me right now? No disrespect intended. All right, we got an update now. We got an update on the multi-rotor on Mars.
Yes. So we've
Oh,
talked
I forgot to change the title. Fuck. Okay, sorry.
So we've talked a few times about the Mars Copter. Mars Copter has lasted much longer than anyone expected, and it got another some cool images in the last flight that it did, or one of the last flights that it did. On the 26th flight, basically the rover team was like, hey, can you go take pictures of the landing site? Because we'd like to know like more data about how we landed, because we can't really get good pictures from the rover. And so they did. They flew out there and got the pictures. So there's two pretty cool pictures here. There's this one, and then they'll let you toggle on the bottom right to the other one. But yeah, they're pretty awesome pictures because these are on the surface of another planet.
Yeah, I just see litter.
Sure.
They're just like,
Yeah.
hey, let's go to Mars. Can we leave some? Can we just leave no trace? Right? Isn't that what this? No, not on Mars.
Not on Mars, unfortunately. That's
We're
not
leaving
to
a
get a
trace.
rover there.
Yeah,
But
that's okay. I mean, it's a big planet. There's plenty of room. That's really cool. This freaking copter is still. Oh wow, there you go. There's a widescreen. This freaking copter is still flying around on Mars, huh?
well, so you say that. So the other story that we have about the Mars Copter is it actually lost communication for a little over 24 hours. So, you know, originally we've talked about the Mars Copter was designed to work about 5 test flights over 30 days. That's what they expected. You know, that's how much it would make. However, what they found is that it's made it about 4.2 miles total over 28 flights, and it's operated for over a year. But now what has happened is the solar panels have started to gather with so much dust that it can't be removed. So it's taking a long time for it to gather, especially during the Martian winter. It's taken a long time for it to gather energy. So, you know, again, this wasn't even supposed to be a thing, but this is so important to them now that they actually shut down the operations of the rover for an entire day, over 24 hours, so that it could just sit and listen for the signal for the copter to come back on because it had died because it ran out of battery. And so they waited, they got the signal, and they were able to rescue it, fly it to somewhere better. And they're still able to keep in contact with it. But it does look like this is sort of the beginning of the downward trend for the quad. A little less battery power. They're having to like lower temperature thresholds, that sort of thing.
Why can't they just lift it off and then just kind of go spin around in a circle so the dust flies off? Or maybe go like no?
Yeah, I don't think they have that capability programmed in. I think also at this point, I mean, the fact that it can even get to where it, you know, like it can take off and stuff. It's just crazy. 28 flights on another planet. Some of my quads can't make 28 flights anyway.
I mean, yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's lasted for a year, Mike. I actually do have quads that have lasted for a year. The Boon Goat that I built at Rampage last year, I crashed. I broke my frame. I think it started as a Sedora. I'm not sure. But I crashed, I broke, and I was like, well, what can I buy here at Rampage that I can build and keep flying? And they had the parts. I picked the Moon Goat frame and the Cricket motors and built it up. And I still have that quad today, in large part because it broke a while back and I didn't fix it. It's just been sitting on the shelf. And I'm like, okay, you're going back to Rampage, son. It's about a year, though. Yeah. Okay, Grandpa, thanks for sharing that story. Can we get back to the news? That's how I feel right now.
I think it's pretty cool.
So. Thanks, Blunty. You can keep your job. All right. International Open. You going to I.O., Blunty?
I am not, but we can talk about it because it's happening and people might want to know. So I.O. 2022. It's happening in June this year in Muncie, Indiana. And you should go if you're interested in.
I could learn the names of some more racers.
That's very true. You might learn the names of some more racers. From what I've heard, IO is kind of like a party where there's also racing. I don't know if that's still the case, but it's supposed to be a good time. So
I did go one year, I think in 18 or 19. That was the year of the unicorn golf cart that knocked the gates over that pissed everybody off.
I remember something about that story.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun. There it is. It's so ironic to me. It's back for year 5. Year 5. Oh, was this before? Oh, anyway. All right. I don't know if I'm going to go to this. It's hard for me to get away. It's a long drive. And it's just a bunch of racing out in a field. And it's like, okay, cool.
Yes, racing and hanging out with people. It seems
You
like
do. There's a lot, like everyone from the FPV world shows up except apparently me. Yeah. So if you want to network,
the tiny whoop tent gets pretty wild.
It is epic. Yeah. If you want to network, if you want to hang out, if you want to meet people, all the vendors are there. Everybody's there. But for me, there's nothing to fly.
Sure, that's fair.
Because I'm not there to race.
So one thing we want to mention for people, if you don't want to spend $200 to go, we've got an email we want to show in the comments.
Blunty's like, we're trying to talk about this. Stop talking, making people not want to go. We're trying to cover this and get people to volunteer.
So AA reached out to us, and he wanted to let us know that he's been volunteering for 5 years at IO. And he wanted to let people know that they want volunteers. Everybody can choose to volunteer at IO if they want, and you get half off or totally free entry to IO if you work 8 or 16 hours at IO, which is pretty cool. If you don't want to spend $200, you still want to go hang out and meet all these people and do all this stuff. So, yeah, he has a cool story about volunteering here. He just says that, they basically get volunteer prizes. There's a volunteer-only raffle. You get to meet a bunch of people because you're there after hours sometimes, or you're hanging out with people who otherwise you might not meet. That's pretty cool. So
yeah, it is. It's really cool. It's a blast. Everybody has a great time when they go there. I'm being told that Casey Multirotors is doing the freestyle track. But anyway, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Why am I like this, Blunty? Why am I like this? Why can't I just be happy and positive for everyone?
I don't know. I feel like we switch on that. So it
true.
seems like it's like those kind of stories I'm more about, and then products and stuff I'm more down on. I don't know if that's true, but it does seem like that's the case.
Yeah. Oh well. Not like people are going to go, well, if Bardwell's not going, I'm not going. Maybe they are. I don't know. I might go. When is it? June?
Yes.
Like next month?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, hang on. Look at my calendar. June. Well, I do have a dentist appointment on the 13th. Well, anyway.
All right.
Next up, in summary, IO is looking for volunteers. If you want to go to IO and you don't want to pay for a ticket, you can volunteer. And it's a really good time. Next up, we have got It's Barely News. These are news items that we thought were fun to share with you, but that for various reasons we didn't think were worth making like a whole news item about. Oh, great. Yeah. Alice says, if Bardwell's not going, I'm not going. Damn it. No, you should go. First up, Blunty, what the hell is CIA Jeep doors? Because I'm a little concerned that we're going to get the wrong kind of attention by showing off the CIA's Jeep doors.
Well, I'm sure there's some effect on monetization by saying CIA, but CIA Jeep...
The algorithm has tagged us. The CIA is looking.
So CIA Jeep doors is an anagram for DJI Aeroscope. And CIA Jeep doors is a way to essentially remove the doors in your Jeep, is what you refer to it as. And it's removing the remote ID and the broadcasting Aeroscope system from any DJI system. So this is basically just a GitHub repository somebody has built to remove any remote ID tracking or Aeroscope information that is in your DJI drone. And they do it because they feel like it's not right of DJI to not allow you to remove it. And they
Right.
quote in here a lot of the different things that we've talked about before, some of the remote ID violations of what people consider violations of Fourth Amendment, and they're still arguing about. Summary of some of the cases, and basically a way to remove remote ID from your drone if you feel like you want to do that. So,
And we recently did a story about aeroscope being used in Ukraine in conflict zones because DJI drones are used by people in all areas, including the military. Even though DJI says no, do not do that. These are not for. Did you not see at the first page of the manual? Not for military use. So I don't know. Maybe they didn't read the manual. And they were also using aeroscope. Say some news stories to track them. And so, I mean, it's one thing to say this is something that could be used by a hobbyist who doesn't want to be tracked. But potentially there's a really much more significant use for this, assuming it works as advertised. So I don't know who out there needs to hear this, but apparently you can do that.
Yeah, T-Bell in the chat asked where the RDQ case is. We're still waiting on the judge's decisions from the case that they heard in front of the district court. Is that right? District court.
Yes, I believe that's right. Okay. So they did
District Court of
deliberations,
Appeals,
and now eventually they'll come back with a decision. Is there a time? There's got to be a time frame.
I think they said on average it's 6 months. I think we're at like 5 months right now, and I read it's on average 6 months.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think one thing I'll say just about that is that we have the requirement, I believe it's September or October, the requirement starts for manufacturers to be able to add remote ID to their drones. So I hope we get a decision soon enough to slow that down.
Yeah. I mean, it's inconceivable what the FPV world would do to comply with this. As far as I know, there still isn't really a attachable remote ID module. No one's even making them.
Yeah,
I think there's one from Europe that could theoretically qualify.
Yeah, I think France or somebody like that has a system currently, and there are a couple companies that have a small device that works for those systems. But and I know DJI has a system internally that you can enable in those areas. But yeah, so I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how this all rolls out, and hopefully, I would hope by that point, it's only April or May, so hopefully by September when this starts, that we'll have some kind of decision.
I mean, if the decision doesn't come in the June-July timeframe, and if the decision doesn't say, hey, Race Day Quads wins, this can't go forward, that's not going to leave a big window for all these manufacturers to figure out what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Well, the good news is that most of these manufacturers aren't based in the USA anyway, so if history is any guide, they will continue to manufacture the products even though they're not compliant with the law, continue to import and sell them to U.S. consumers who will use them even though they're not compliant with the law.
Yeah. I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see. All right, next up. It's barely news that Newbie Drone wants you to pay to beta test their products.
Yeah. I this kind of rubs me a little bit the wrong way. I just wanted to at least bring it up and comment on it real quick. It's just that basically
so you're going to be the bad cop. I'm going to be the good cop this time?
I am. This happens to be about a product, and I'm going to be the bad cop.
Okay, go.
But yeah, I don't think that it makes any sense to charge people $100 to test a product that you want to find out is proper. Like, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a beta test to me. That seems like you're selling somebody a product that's not done.
Yeah.
They're saying they're going to give you a discount later, which you would do anyway if somebody bought a faulty product from you. I don't know. It just seems.
Well, it says you'll get a discount once we release the final product. It sounds like the discount on the final product you're going to get regardless, whether it's faulty or not. I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying.
Sorry, you broke up for a second while we were talking.
It sounds like they're going to give you the discount regardless of whether your product is faulty.
Sure. I just mean it's like, hey, you can buy our product at our cost or a little better later, and then pay $100 now to test the product that we don't even know is good. To me, that's not a way to test a product.
I actually can make a sincere counter argument based on. I didn't expect to be able to do this. I was just going to take the other side for fun, but. When we released the JB F7 flight controller, typically here's how a flight controller is developed. The manufacturer makes prototypes. The manufacturer sends them to you, and you get like I typically would get 3 to 5 prototypes for, and they're I wouldn't say they're hand soldered, but they're definitely not mass produced. And that is used to validate that the design is basically correct. Did they make all the wires go in the right place? Do the UARTs work, etc.? Those 5-ish prototypes are given to test pilots. The test pilots test them. And then, like, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that in a lot of cases they go, yep, they're good. And then they just roll off 500 or 1,000 and they sell them. And the reason I say that is because so often in FPV, there's been a product release. Like, do you remember that DAL RC flight controller where TX and RX were reversed for UART 3?
Yes.
And they just manufactured. How did they not catch that? But when we did the JB 7, what we did was we said, look, we want to do like a run of 50 or 100. And we want to put those in the hands of testers, real world testers who don't work for us, who will tell us if it sucks. And it's like, okay, well, that's going to cost $2,500 or $3,000 or whatever. And they're like, well, that's not going to fly. So what we did was we sold them at cost. And I remember Race Day Quads, I think they did, if you gave us feedback, then you got store credit in some amount. I don't remember if it was a break even. But basically what we did was we sold the boards at cost to people in exchange for them beta testing them. And of course, people were happy to do it and thrilled to get a look at it. We weren't selling a product we thought was crappy. We were selling a product we thought was good. But I imagine that's what Newbie Drone is doing as well.
Sure. I think a couple things. One, I doubt there is a special VTX that costs over $100 for like $100 for cost. And they're asking $100 to test. So for a special VTX. So
you think they're making like a profit on it? You don't think they're giving it at cost?
I mean, maybe it is. Maybe there is a new VTX that somehow is $100 for cost, so we'll be $50 or more for a finalized VTX. But
you don't have a problem with the principle. You just think it's too much money.
Well, I also have a problem with the principle because they have a team of sponsored pilots. You don't have a team of sponsored pilots. Like, you can't send all those sponsored pilots your FCs to test.
That's true.
But Newbie Drone can, and they have a team of sponsored pilots they send gear to all the time. They have a budget for those pilots that they attribute to those pilots to get them new gear, to get them whoops, to get them all those things. To me,
Acroweebu points out that this is not a VTX. It's a B-Brain flight controller with a built-in VTX. I don't know if that changes your equation.
Gotcha. I don't know. Again, like it rubs me the wrong way when you have a fleet of pilots that you are sponsoring that you assume are good pilots that are giving you good information. Yeah. And I don't know, you pay because they're good. And then you're going to say, okay, let's charge the mass public $100 to test these products on a public scale. That feels odd to me. We've talked a little bit before about motors. Like, to me, that's why you have pilots that you pay or that you sponsor with gear, is because, I don't know, they don't just advertise for you. They can also help you with new products. And you build hype by sending them the new products, and it's kind of like a combo thing. So I don't know. Again, this rubs me the wrong way. I feel like you should have a V1, and that's what it should be.
I mean, I do agree somewhat with your point, which is that if people are going to test your product and give you feedback, they're providing value, and they should be anytime someone provides value, they should be compensated for the value that they provide. If you're extracting value, because people are going to accuse me of being a Marxist. I don't know about that, but if you're extracting value from someone, then you should provide compensation for that value. I think that's a basic principle, and you could argue about other nuances of it. So in this case, they're providing value in that they're testing. They're receiving value potentially in that they're getting a product. I mean, assuming that the products are not like totally effed up and usable, you are getting a new flight controller. So maybe there are people out there who feel that that's a fair exchange. I mean, you kind of have to decide whether you think Newbie Drone is abusing and mistreating or whatever, taking too much in exchange for what they give, or whether you give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. The other problem I have is that this is currently only proprietary to Newbie Drone. And Newbie Drone has a history of proprietary things that I don't agree with. You know,
proprietary motor connectors.
Yeah,
the
proprietary
OSD,
motor connectors. the Pixel OSD or the B-Sign OSD is the software version of an OSD chip that they have. It's not compatible with other things. They did for a while have an SPI chip that was totally theirs. Now they're using a CC2500, but it's in a diversity setup, which I believe still has issues. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. To me, like, I don't like the word proprietary in this release for that reason, but I guess we'll find out what it is when it comes out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will find out. Or you can sign up to be a beta tester if you're willing to pay $100.
That is true.
Okay, we got another. It's barely news. It's barely news that sharks. What are sharks doing?
Well, sharks are doing what sharks do, but now we're finding out more about what they do. So we've talked a little bit about a couple.
What is this advertisement?
We've talked a little bit about a couple.
There we go.
A couple drone systems that were like hovering over the water. They were like lifeguard drones and then also shark observing. But this is another team that's been basically going out and observing around whale carcasses, because for a while they started to be concerned that essentially, for some reason, a beached whale carcass, even though there was nothing in the water, was causing more sharks to be around. And what they're finding is that is true, and they're able to. They're
like smelling the shark carcass, and they're like, "Hey, where's the shark? He's up on the beach, dude. I can't get to him."
Yeah, and they're more active, and they're feeding more in those areas. So it
and the
seems
sharks
like
are
now,
like, "I can't get any whale. I'm gonna maybe bite one of these humans."
Well, and that's what they're thinking now is they're going to start saying like, whenever these whale carcasses, they're going to totally close off, like, or at least have a high shark level kind of warning now, and they're learning that because they're able to get drones up in the air and observe them. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. You finally got that story out, despite my constantly interrupting you. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Oh, well, guess what?
What?
Acroweeboo in the chat is Dalton. In the Discord is Dalton from Newbie Drone. And he has a response, which I feel like we should read. Currently, to serve our customers who are primarily new pilots, we think it's best to offer a solution that offers a warranty that we can stand by. Because we offer a plug-and-play setup, we can offer a warranty service we feel is better than the other options on the market if you're new. Our warranty is very close to no questions asked, as long as you have not soldered onto the board or if this is clear of user error. We try to include solder pads for the camera and motors and one open UART to assist those users who are looking for more options. I understand this isn't ideal for expert-level users. At the moment, the new board contains a few changes to our current design that improves VTX performance in a way we feel is quite unique. Newbie Drone has been taking notes of everyone's requests and complaints. We are aware that we need a product to better service pro users. Is Acroweeboo Dalton, or has he copy-pasted? Acroweeboo, are you Dalton? We are listening, and we are working very hard to make sure we take the right steps to offer this product the right way. These small paid testing batches allow us to test features and get feedback to see if this is something real pilots will actually want. He is Dalton. I thought so. A name like Acroweeboo. It's hard to forget. We hope this model can rapidly accelerate the timeline for products and widen the net for testing data and any issues that arise. Okay, well, that's Newbie Drone's response.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right, last but not least, it's barely news. We've got basically Eurovision.
Yeah.
For people who know what Eurovision is and live in places where they can see Eurovision.
Yeah, let's check it out.
They might have noticed that this year's talisman in the Eurovision contest, which is the mascot, is a drone this year, and they are using that drone, or basically that drone is an analog for them flying drones around and getting a bunch of cool shots this year. So yeah, if you're watching Eurovision, you might see a bunch of cool drone shots. And we tried to find the pilot. I was not able to identify the pilot of them. There might be multiples because there's a lot of shots. But if you see that, that's pretty cool. So
yeah,
neat to
very
see
cool to see
drones and more media.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Alrighty, well, Blunty, we got one more topic this week. Should Cinelifters use GPS rescue? That we're going to call that our rant, although technically it's not really a rant. People get really annoyed when we don't have a rant of the week. But before we do that,
about those people. So.
Sweet. I'm going to read the super chats that are left. Dimitar Krastiv, thank you for 10 BGN. Thanks, Joshua and ItsBlunty, for your content. Wish you all the best. Mig19, thanks for $5 Canadian. No message. but just a donation. MC's Creations, thanks for 10 Brazilian reais. When is the JB flight controller with onboard express coming, Joshua? No plans for that at this time. Double Abe, thank you for a $20 super chat. Thanks, JB and ItsBlunty. You're both fantastic. See you both at I.O. Damn it.
Nope.
That is the super chats. Okay, now we've got the discussion. Should cinelifters use GPS rescue? Why is this even a question, Blunty? You've got a giant, expensive quadcopter with an expensive camera. Obviously, if you fail safe, you don't want it to just crash into the ground, or do you?
Well, so there was a lot of conversation about this in one of the threads in your Discord, and I thought it was an interesting thing to discuss. So basically, the argument was between basically, should you use GPS rescue on cinelifters because it's better than the quad crashing into people and losing a camera? That's a lot of money, right? So let's say you're flying over a crowd of people to do shots, or
sure.
let's say you're near a crowd of people and you might hit them if you fail safe, right? Something like that. Should you have the GPS rescue in that case to save you, or does the GPS rescue pose a risk because it's an automated flight mode? Right?
Yep.
Does giving the computer control of your, $3,000 quad with a camera on it that has all these giant blades flying around? Which is which? So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know that I have a position because I don't fly cinelifters, but I think this is an interesting argument to have.
I also don't fly cinelifters, so I guess that's going to be it for the no. Two things come to my mind. One is that when Rotor Riot visited Free Fly Systems, makers of the Alta X and other expensive cinelifter drones that fly $40,000 cameras, they fly on a Pixhawk flight controller, and they do have the option to fly with autonomous modes. So, for example, he showed us how you could set multiple landing locations. So if you're doing some kind of a waypoint mission wherever you are, the closest landing position is where it will auto land. So if you're like out over the ocean, you could have an island, and you'd be like, look, if you can't get back to shore, you can land on this island instead. Now, the implication there is that there would be times when an Alta X would be set to auto land in case of a failsafe.
Sure.
The flip side of that, do you want to take the counter argument?
Well, I think the counter argument is just that, can you rely on that the entire time? Like, can you always rely on that software to be correct? Can you always rely on the positioning to be correct? Can you always rely on, did somebody mess up when they did the code and nobody ever found the bug that you find, and that bug causes you to crash into 3 people?
Yeah. I think it depends heavily on your sort of mission profile. So if you're flying for oh my God, if you're flying for, whatever, over the ocean for, what is that? Dangerous Catch? What is that show he flies for?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Some Discovery Channel show. Deadly Catch. If you're flying out over the ocean and there's nothing for you to crash into, and you're doing like a high tracking shot of a boat, sure. I mean, I could absolutely see deciding that rather than lose your footage, you'd rather have it loiter, or you'd rather have it try to return to home. Although, where is home? If you're on a boat, I don't know. But regardless. On the other hand, if you're doing a shot like like Vanover's shots in Ambulance, where you're flying underneath a police car as it jumps over, and you're going to fly over the hood of this car, at that point, if anything goes wrong, it's better to just dump it and not take a chance that you're going to crash into something. And that's the position that I've heard from most cinelifter pilots, guys like Nurk, guys like Oh My God. I asked some of them this question, and they said, no, just dump it and let the insurance pay for the camera.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting because, what do you do? I mean, especially in these cases where we're going to get more and more people flying over people now that there's the weight limit requirements, where maybe you're not flying a cinelifter, but you're flying something that can fly over people. Right. I don't know where the line is to whether you should be using GPS rescue or whether that should fall out of the sky. Because if you're over people, you'd assume you want to rescue it, but if you can actually have the quad accelerate. Yeah, if you can have that quad accelerate by accident, though, that does seem like it could be a problem. So,
yeah, Tommy's argument was when you're in close proximity to, you're chasing a vehicle, let's say, if it kicks into return to home, there's going to be a moment where it just kind of goes, oh, I'm going home now. And in that moment, it is going to be an obstacle that another vehicle could crash into. or just the sudden disruption of it, if you have a micro failsafe, could throw you off and cause a problem. Seems like a valid argument from a guy who does this as a professional. It's kind of a moot point, though, because most people flying Cinelifters, certainly acro Cinelifters, are flying Betaflight. And Betaflight doesn't really have... I definitely wouldn't trust Betaflight GPS rescue to get me back home again.
Is it irresponsible then to fly a Cinelifter with Betaflight if you can't use GPS rescue to stop from hitting people or something, right?
Is it irresponsible to fly a Cinelifter with Pixhawk where the acro performance is so bad that you have less control? Live again.
I don't think that's me.
No, it's me. It's me.
Good.
I don't know what it is, but it's me. I'm back. We're going to reconnect in just a second. Status live. Uh-oh. Well, that's going to do it for the news. It's trying to reconnect and start the stream again. This is CIA. It's me. It's me. I don't know how to get the stream going again, though. Oh.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah. OBS says it's streaming. Oh, wait, here we go. We're live. Are we live? Are we back?
We're back. Yes, we're
back. Are we back? Hey, what? I don't know what. Well, I guess the CIA decided they didn't like us talking about their Jeep doors and cut us off. I don't know what just happened there, but while we have a moment, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Thank you, Blunty.
Yes.
I guess we'll never know the answer about Cinelifters.
I guess you'll have to make your own decisions about that.
Oh, no. What will we do? We never did plugs at the beginning, Blunty. We skipped right to the Fatshark goggles, and we skipped the plugs. Should we plug things? Let's do it.
Yeah, hopefully they can see us through any lag that's happening, if it is. But, yeah, don't forget to email the news at fpvknowitall.com every week. That's important to do. Because we get news from you.
Know about?
That's how we find stuff out. Also, ItsBlunty.com is my website where you can go find out my stuff, where you can get my Patreon link or my one-on-one troubleshooting link. And yeah, find my information.
Blunty will sit on the phone with you and troubleshoot your problem. And,
I will.
He is just as smart as me, sometimes smarter, and way cheaper. So if you're thinking about asking me for a one-on-one call, I do those. I do those. But Blunty will be a better value, unless you just specifically want to talk to me. So yeah, it's Blunty.com.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
We've also got fpvknowitall.com, which is Joshua's website.
It is.
Where you can find a wonderful shopping list for all your different needs. That's maintained by multiple people to get you the best information, so that you can make your best decisions about what to buy.
Yeah, we got a Tiny Whoops page now. So yeah, look at that. Look at all those beautiful pictures.
And last but not least, we've got the Clips channel, the JB Clips channel, that I am now running and making sure we got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We got new thumbnails, and we got plenty of posts happening all the time. We're pulling clips from the live streams every week. And yeah.
Blunty, I started this channel a little while back, and I wasn't doing a good job of keeping up with it, especially with actual live stream clips. I was just uploading the news, which is easy to cut into segments. But I was on the verge of closing down this channel because I just didn't feel like I was taking good care of it. And you said basically that you wanted to run a YouTube channel, you just didn't want to have to make all the content. And I was like, it's a match made in heaven.
This is perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. So you guys get on over there and subscribe to Joshua Bardwell live stream clips. If you don't watch every one of my live streams, these are some highlights. Blunty watches everyone, and he finds the highlights for you. Including FPV news content, but also just a bunch of highlights from the stream. Like, how important is video latency versus control link latency? Oh, interesting. Yeah, anyway. So, that is going to do it. I'm going to get out of here. Go subscribe to the Clips channel.
Go do it.
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys next week. There will not be live streams on Sunday because I'll be at Rampage. And most likely there will not be a live stream on Monday because I'll be driven all day and I'll be tired. So we'll be back Tuesday with the news. Woodsman will be back.
Fresh off of Rampage, fresh with some
And-
new news about those goggles.
We'll be able to actually talk about them.
Absolutely. Good times.
I know things.
Or bad